We can talk about Fast and Furious. Dude, the Fast and Furious franchise. Oh boy. Yeah, this is a story out early this week from the Wall Street Journal. Universal does not want to spend like $300 million to make the last Fast and Furious movie. And I can't blame them. What do you know about this, Andy?
So as we've said before, this franchise is in real trouble, and Vin Diesel is tried to like force it to get made and tried to drum up like audience interest and hype. And he was like, we got a release day. The studio's going to agree to this. And like all that is false. Like the studio has not agreed to anything. They have not greenlit anything. They have not approved a budget, a story, cast. And so this article comes out and they're willing to do it with a big budget reductions. Basically, the previous movie cost $350 million and it made $700 million, but that's not enough really for it to be profitable. It really needs to be over $1 billion at that kind of price tag. So Universal wants to cut at least $150 million from the budget, get it down to $200 million, which also means cutting a lot of the stars budget or just cutting the out parts entirely or just lowering salaries. And this is a big difference from Fast 7, which was the most successful of these films. And they're just, it's over, man. It's so over. And if they do finally finish this, because the previous film ends on a cliffhanger, it's going to be on a much slower budget. It's going to be much smaller. And what's really interesting about this is that they're actually looking to maybe pivot to TV, to prestige TV, and kind of create a new era of Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I think television might be a fine pivot. Considering we're streaming as why not? Yeah, it's so funny. Like when Diesel came out and announced it, the auto racing festival FuelFest this last summer, when he came out on stage wearing a t-shirt that said Toretto's Garage, and he said that he had just met with executives at Universal Pictures who said that they're going to put out a movie by April 2027. Like it just seemed like such lofty promises for those of us that watch this space a lot. He said under 3 conditions they're going to get this movie. 1, it's got to come back to Los Angeles. All right. Number 2, it's going to delve back into street racing culture. And 3, it's going to reunite Toretto with his former partner who was played by the late Paul Walker. 2 of those actually make sense for the budget, all right? So Fast and Furious becoming a globe-trotting spy franchise is nuts. It was never designed to be that, and it's funny that they pivoted there after Fast 7 had this insane success. The movie made over $1 billion. Like that was like the defibrillator the franchise needed that like restarted the heart and got everybody back into it, right? I get it. I get why it went that way, but like trying to work a CGI Paul Walker back into the movie ain't cheap. It doesn't matter how you spin it, right? Like it's either cheap or it's disrespectful, maybe both, right? And not to mention, yeah, the rest of the cast probably wants to stick around. These movies are all about family. It's about bringing people in from everywhere. God, the last one ended with a tease to have Dwayne Johnson in it again. Like, how are you going to afford him? Like, Smashing Machine could barely afford him, right? And that was a smaller franchise. It just seems like such lofty promises that they can't possibly hit. There's no way that they're going to be able to get this thing turned out the way they want. So you cut the budget back and you go back to LA and you make it more about street racing. I do think that's wise. I don't know how you spend the rest of it, though, especially after the promises made after Fast X, which is like, dude, they had so many cliffhangers in that movie. It's hilarious how many cliffhangers they had, actually. It was such a mess.
Well, not only that, it's a big globe-trotting story spy agency. So I was like, how do you go from that back to street racing? It's a big step back. Like the cat's already out of the bag. They've already gone to space, which they've kind of apologized for. And I don't think they should, because I like that they went to space. I was like, if you're going to be ridiculous, be ridiculous. You know, just go ahead and own it. I think the other thing that I've been thinking about with this article is we're witnessing the end of the franchise, or kind of the limits of it. And we're seeing this in the Fast and the Furious, in Marvel, in Star Wars. And it looks like, you know, you got maybe 15 to 20 years or something. I mean, this has been going on for almost 25 years. And it's kind of over. And, you know, Gen Z isn't into this. This is like, this is your grandpa's IP or your uncle's IP. It's just kind of too far. And franchises looks like they can maybe have expiration dates. Star Wars is doing a little bit better at almost 50 years, but they're struggling too. So it's really interesting to see how long these things can go, because in the 2010s you would have thought that we would have been seeing Fast and Furious movies for the next 20 years and you know, next 100 years. Like, it's really insane, but it's really crazy to see the end of it and just see trends completely change, audiences taste change. They're forgetting the kids don't care about the cars. And also, a friend of ours said that Well, that kind of street racing, that kind of Japanese, like souping up those kinds of cars. That's kind of, it was a thing from the early 2000s, and people don't really do that anymore. So it's like, what would you even go back to? Like street racing itself is not really a thing, allegedly.
Yeah. I think the answer is, as always, time travel. It's the only thing that can fix this, right? We always joked about the series doing time travel, but imagine them like legitimately embracing it as some kind of means to get back to something simpler. Like maybe Dom Toretto just leaves it all behind and goes back 20 years and kills his old self, and there you go. It's the plot of Peacemaker season 2. And ultimately, like, Universal doesn't have any good reason to make this either. Like, that's the other thing on the business side. They have so many good movies coming out right now. Like, unless you're trying to fell Warner Brothers or Disney, which they're not really, like, they're fine. They do not need this. You got Chris Nolan in the tent. You got new new Jordan Peele. He's going to have a movie coming out in the next year or two. Daniels is working on a new project with them. Like, they have been locking up stars. The Odyssey, right, is a Universal picture. Like, they do not need the money. Nobody is knocking down their door begging to make Fast 11 except Vin Diesel. Like, he seems to be the only person who really wants it. And that's mostly because the money he gets for each one of these films is in the realm of like $20 million. And he doesn't have a whole lot else going on. So my man needs a check. He's got bills he's got to get paid. And hey, I get it. People want to see the end of the franchise. But I don't know if they want to see it like this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they want to see it dragged over the finish line, which is where it seems like it might be. Cut the budget, simple it out, then apologize for saying Paul was going to be in it. That's dumb. And I think maybe you got a movie, right? Like, I think that's probably the direction you need to go in.
And it's almost easier just to not do that. Like, there's so many caveats you would have to make. And also there's something like The Rock has lost a ton of weight, which we're going to talk about a little bit. He's lost like 60 pounds. He's not like the huge, big buff dude he was at the end of that first movie. So like you're going to have to explain this massive physique change in one of your stars. So it's just easier to not, and it's easier to spend that money elsewhere on new things or, new young talent or existing talent that's bankable, like Chris Nolan. And it was like, why would you give Vin Diesel $200 million when you could give it to Chris Nolan?
The Rock, and The Rock isn't the only star of the Fast franchise that's undergone a massive physical change, if you know what I mean. But we should move on to Heat 2. We got to talk about this. Michael Mann is trying to get Heat 2 made, which seems kind of bogus, if not for the fact that not only does it continue to be moving forward, it seems like people are going to actually make this follow-up to the 1995 feature, but the star power attached to this thing is insane. This might be like the thriller of the decade or something whenever it finally comes out. This is a story out of The Hollywood Reporter talking about the project moving from Warner Brothers to Amazon MGM.